Alright, let me show you different ways in which you can interact with the chart. You can do so through these options here. I refer to them as different modes. So in view mode, you can toggle the visibility of different objects on the chart. So let me just get some data to illustrate that. For example, you can turn off the phase lines temporarily, aims, data in case you need to see one of them separately for a while or for a moment. You're not deleting anything, you're just toggling the visibility of something. You can also change the grids here. And you can also change the credit lines here. So you're given 3 rows, which are just interpreted as 3 strings. So let's add something on the last row here, room 2, 3, 4, like that. So that's what you can do in view mode. In data mode, you can manually enter data, and you can also style the data points. So let me show you how to do that. So let's say we have a count of 50 and say 3 minutes. Then we do plus for this date, and you've added it. And then if you want to add an X, you can just do that. So for example, count of 25, like that. You are probably not going to use this feature a lot, because if you have a large data set, you want to use the import feature instead. But if you're using the daily chart and are just making daily entries, this might make a lot of sense. Another thing you can do here in data mode is to style the data points using this cogwheel here, and I'm going to import a different data set to illustrate that. So this is actually just some artificial data, it doesn't mean anything, I just use this for testing. So if you go into the cogwheel here, you have a whole bunch of options about how to style these data points for dots and X's and even the floor. For example, let's say I wanted to just selectively remove the lines from some of these data points. I could do that by going no line here. See, all the lines are now gone, and you can change the color, the size. Yeah, there are a lot of options here. And currently the program is set to configure the data points over this entire range. However, you can be even more selective in which data points you want to style differently. So you can see the range currently selected here. However, by clicking somewhere on the graph like this, then you have partitioned off a little segment here. And that segment is what the style will now be applied to. So for example, let's say we want to style the X's differently. So we're just going to change the color for them. We'll just make it red to make it salient. See, like that. Pretty cool, right? You might be wondering also how I'm closing this window, because I'm not clicking anywhere. I'm actually just using the keyboard. I can assure you, when you run this thing, there's going to be an X here. I'm just using a very obscure desktop environment where you do everything through the keyboard. But there will be an X somewhere here that you will be able to click on to close this window. But yeah, that's how you can style the data points both selectively and globally across the chart. Next we have phase lines. Let's just clean the chart again. And you just click somewhere here and you have a line or a suggestion for a line. When it's magenta, it's basically saying that it is ready to place it, but the line has not yet been finalized. So if you press plus here, now you have a line. And you can also add some text to it. I'll just write intervention. And now you have text going with the phase line as well. And you can style this text differently by, for example, changing the text type to banner instead of flag mode. And now previously looked like a flag, but now it's going to look like a banner or just vertically arranged. And you can change the text placement as well, depending on your needs. And just press plus when you have it. You can also if you need more precision and you find it a little bit irritating to be able to click exactly somewhere, you can always use this calendar menu to precisely place something like that. And what you can also do here is that you can also go into the cogwheel and configure these face lines. So you're going to get a list of all the face lines that you have placed here with their associated text and styling, and you can selectively change them here. So for example, I'm going to change the text here to just text, and I'm going to, let's see, change the line type to dashed update. See, like that. And you can selectively delete them. And let's say this was your this type of line was your preferred style, then you can just do that, change it, and click this button here saying set as default, and the lines will automatically be painted like this in the future. Next we have aims, and yeah, let's just remove this. We have aims, and they work everything that I showed you that applies to face line pretty much applies to aims as well. The only difference really is that they are horizontal instead. There's not as much customization options in terms of text placement and text style here, and I'll probably add that in the future. But yeah, otherwise they work the same way. That they have the same sort of cog option here in which you can selectively style and delete and make changes to aims. And if you need more precision placement, you can always just type directly in thing. You don't necessarily have to click anywhere here. So for example, I want to place this thing just right here. See, it moved up like that. And finally, we have deceleration lines, and let's just get some data again for that. Now, with acceleration lines, you can either select dots or X's. So you need to make sure that you select one of the one with the data type that you actually want to place the line on. And you can pick your fit method here. I'm just going to use least squares, but there are other options here. And you can select forward projection, which means that if you select a segment here, it's going to project forward in the future despite there not being any data included in that segment. So for example, if this is the segment here, I use the arrow keys there to move it. And you can use forward projection, let's say 10 days. And now we're going to go fit. See, it moved forward 10 days from this segment here. And you can also see that you got bounce lines, which is selected here. There are different options here. And deceleration unit is set to weekly, which is the standard. You're probably going to be using this in most cases, but I made sure to make other options available if you want to. For example, I looked at some financial data with very slow moving trends, and I noticed that it was pretty useful to be able to change this in some cases. So yeah, you have the bounce envelope here, and you have this information here about what deceleration is, what the bounce is. And currently the trend and the bounce envelopes have not been finalized, and that is indicated by this magenta coloring. And the reason why is because right now the program is waiting for you to place this text somewhere. By default, it just aims sort of for the middle of the line and move it a little bit upwards, but that placement may not always be where you want it to be placed. So you can just use the mouse to place it somewhere else. The arrow keys also work if you need more precision placement. But let's say we're happy with placing it, here, for example, or maybe like that. And then we click plus. Now the line has been finalized. And you can also customize the trends in the same way as you can customize face lines and aims. Keep in mind that once you have dot selected, it will customize the dot trends. And once you have the X selected, and then you go in here, you are selecting the customization for the X trends. Also, now when X is selected, if you wanted to remove the trend here, we can't because X is selected, so it's trying to remove all the trends for X's, and we haven't placed any trends on X. But if we go in here and then click remove, then it's removed. And you can also use, I'll go back to view mode quickly and just show you one last thing, which is that let's say we place some bounce lines here. So you go fit, and then actually let's turn off for a projection here. And yeah, let's use this. So fit like that. Then you can actually temporarily turn off the bounce lines here. And if you don't want to see the text right now, you don't have to, right? And if you want to selectively not see this text or change something here, you can just go in here and do that as well. All right, that concludes the tutorial for different interaction modes.